Did you know that you can watch the Senate live on YouTube? Visit the channel by browsing to youtube.com/@ Senate of Virginia. That's youtube.com/@ Senate of Virginia. Senate Committee Room, A305. This is the Senate of Virginia, Richmond, Virginia. This is the Senate of Virginia, Richmond, Virginia. Senate Committee Room, A305. Did you know that you can watch the Senate live on YouTube? Visit the channel by browsing to youtube.com/@Senate of Virginia. That's youtube.com/@Senate of Virginia. Senate Committee Room, A305. This is the Senate of Virginia, Richmond, Virginia. This is the Senate of Virginia, Richmond, Virginia. Senate Committee Room, A305. Did you know that you can watch the Senate live on YouTube? Visit the channel by browsing to youtube.com/@Senate of Virginia. That's youtube.com/@Senate of Virginia. Senate Committee Room, A305. This is the Senate of Virginia, Richmond, Virginia.
Good afternoon. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
You have a quorum, Madam Chair.
Thank you. We have 51 bills on today's docket, and we have a sign-up sheet. And I'm going to start with Delegate Henson. You are number one. Yes, April, could you please give us the quick description?
Yes, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, House Bill 1657 is identical to Senator Rouse's bill, Senate Bill 813. This bill requires the Department of Elections to complete any program to remove names of ineligible voters from the voter registration system no later than 90 days. Under the current law, the restriction already applies to federal primaries and federal general elections. I won't bore you all because I believe the senator did it a little bit better, but I may just look a little bit better.
Thank you. That's all we need.
Thank you.
Senator Dees.
I move to report the bill.
Get my mic on here. There's a motion and a second that House Bill 1657 be reported. Madam Clerk, please open the roll.
Ayes 8, noes 4.
Ayes 8, noes 4, that bill reports. Delegate Maldonado. Then I'm going to let April go on and give us a brief description so we can keep rolling.
Madam Chair, the first bill is House Bill 1844. It's related to the Baby Foods Protection Act, testing labeling requirements for toxic heavy metals. There's a small impact of about 4,000 GF for work group meetings and some additional food testing costs for VDACs to respond to complaints. It came here from ACNR on a vote of 15 yes, 0 no.
Move to report. Second.
There's a motion and a second that the bill be reported. Madam Clerk, this is a roll call. Please open the roll.
Ayes 13, no 0.
Ayes 13, no 0. That bill reports.
Madam Chair, the next bill, House Bill 2094, relates to high-risk artificial intelligence development, deployment, and use, and creates requirements for the deployment. The fiscal impact is related to the Attorney General's office and civil investigations, which is permissive. It contains a delayed enactment clause of July 1, 2026, came from General Laws and Technology on a vote of 9 yes, 3 no, 3 abstentions.
Madam Chair,
Senator
I
Dees.
move to report the bill.
There's a motion and a second that the bill be reported. Madam Clerk, please open the roll.
Ayes 9, noes 4.
Ayes 9, noes 4. That bill reports.
Madam Chair, her next bill is House Bill 2123, related to protective orders and maximum time in family abuse cases who've been subject to a previous order issued within 10 years. It increases the maximum length of the order from 2 to 4 years. It is here because it has a Woodrum impact of $50,000, and it came from Courts of Justice on a vote of 11 yes, 1 no, 1 abstention.
Madam Chair,
Senator Dees.
I move to report the bill.
There's a motion and a second that the bill be reported. Roll call, please.
Ayes 12, noes 1.
Ayes 12, noes 1. The bill reports. Delegate Helton. Could you please do that one for me? Give a brief description.
Madam Chair, this one relates to health benefits benchmark plan and commission to consider coverage for infertility treatment. It requires the Health Insurance Reform Commission, or the HIRC, to consider that coverage. It directs the HIRC to include the coverage, though, in its recommendation to the General Assembly. I believe there might be a committee
Madam
amendment.
Chair, there is a committee amendment. Now
Senator Dees.
I'll move the amendment.
Senator Dees moves. Senator, there's a second that the committee amendment be agreed to. All in favor, please say aye.
I move to report the bill as amended.
Second.
There's a motion and a second that the bill be reported with the amendment. Roll call, please.
Ayes 10, noes 3.
Ayes 10, noes 3. The bill reports with amendment. Delegate Hernandez. Yes, we're gonna let April do a description and then pass it to you.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, this one relates to health, employment, safety standards, heat, illness prevention, directs the Department of Labor and Industry Safety and Health Code Board to adopt regulations establishing reasonable standards designed to protect employees from heat illness and to establish a list of high-hazard industries. It is similar to Senator Hashmi's bill, Senate Bill 1103, which was left in the committee.
Hernandez.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the committee. All I want to say about this bill is to remind the committee that there are truly no standards at all under state or federal law to protect workers from extreme heat. I asked the Department of Labor and Industry for statistics based on the number of people who are injured or who die in the Commonwealth every year. Last year in 2024, and the data was not even complete at the time that I requested it, there were 7 fatalities. There were scores more that were folks who were injured and couldn't go to work. And at a time when we're seeing rollback of labor protections at the federal government, I think this is the right time for states to step up and to lead. This bill takes a different approach than some of the other states we've seen where we are following the data. So this develops a high hazard industry list based on the data where people are suffering the most, where they need the most protection. What we're talking about is access to shade, water, rest, and a little bit of training when there's really extreme heat.
Madam Chair,
Senator Deeds.
we had a bill, it's identified a real problem. It wasn't funded in the House budget, even though it was passed in the House. So we had a similar bill like this that we didn't pass, and I'm
Senate Bill
enough.
1103.
Yeah, I'm enough to make a motion to pass by indefinitely.
Second. There's a motion and a second that the bill be PBI, and that's based on the similar treatment of Senate Bill 1103, Senator Highsmith's bill, in our own committee. There's a motion and a second that the bill be PBI. Madam Clerk, please open the roll.
Ayes 11, noes 2.
Ayes 11, noes 2, the bill is PBI.
We'll be back next year. Thank
I
you.
know. I went 20 years one time before I got a bill passed.
I'll follow your lead, Madam Chair.
You're about my same age what I was then too. Thank you. Okay, I have Delegate Martinez. April, could you please give us a description?
Yes.
Delegate Martinez, come on.
Madam Chair, the first bill is House Bill 1766, which relates to the increase of weekly benefit amounts under our unemployment commission. It is identical to Senate Bill 1056, Senator Evans' bill, which passed the Senate 40 yes, 0 no.
Madam Chair, I move to report the bill.
There's a motion and a second that the bill be reported. Madam Clerk, please open the roll.
Ayes 10, noes 3.
Ayes 10, noes 3, that bill reports. April?
Madam Chair, the next bill, House Bill 1767, relates to the maximum duration of unemployment benefits. It provides that an eligible individual's weekly unemployment compensation benefit amount to be paid for a maximum duration of 26 weeks, beginning on July 1 of this year, for claims effective on or after that time. Currently, the average duration is 22.7 weeks. It reported from Commerce and Labor on a vote of 9 yes, 6 no.
Madam Chair, am I correct that there's an amendment to this bill?
The person who wanted to make that amendment is not here, so we're going to move on the bill. There's a motion?
I want to ask a question, Madam Chair, if I can.
Senator Deeds.
So Delegate Martinez, do you know if this is allowed under federal law? Can we use the federal trust fund dollars for this?
I don't have that answer. My apologies, Madam.
Maybe from staff.
Senator Deeds, Madam Chair, I believe it is an allowable extension. The time period extension is allowable under federal regulations.
Senator Deeds?
Senator Serville's here. Madam Chair, I think Senator Serville had an amendment or was talking about an amendment to House Bill 1767.
I do.
Okay.
You want me to explain
I
it?
want you to explain the amendment, yes.
The amendment basically would pick up any federal workers that have been independent contractors for federal agencies that were recently laid off due to actions by the current presidential administration. Right now, 1099 workers aren't eligible for unemployment benefits. We extended them to 1099 workers during the pandemic, but we typically don't grant those benefits. But given the unprecedented nature of the rifts that are occurring up in Northern Virginia due to what's happening federally, we thought we ought to extend benefits to them for the time being.
Madam Chair, do we have that amendment prepared?
I had it prepared. It's an enactment clause, and staff prepared it.
Then I'll second the amendment.
Madam Chairman.
Senator McDougal?
Madam Chairman, of course, I've not seen this written out, but just to make clear, this is independent contractors that will
Correct.
be added. And if I'm not mistaken, the federal unemployment benefits policy, most of that money comes, doesn't allow for independent contractors. does not allow for independent contractors to receive unemployment benefits.
Madam Chair.
Senator Serval.
Yeah, Madam Chair, so again, these benefits were extended during the pandemic due to the large numbers of independent contractors that got laid off. And so I asked staff to prepare language that would do the same thing we did during the pandemic. And I've received many emails from USAID workers, especially that were laid off a couple weeks ago. There's others. A lot of these people are independent contractors, and that's who it covers.
Senator McDougal.
Madam Chairman, I understand that right now, that is not permitted to be recovered under the federal program, and that during the pandemic, there was an exception made during that time, and it's not in place now. So we would have to appropriate the money in the budget because it would all be state money since it's not permitted under the federal.
Madam Chair.
Senator Serval.
Madam Chair, no, it's not state money. It's money that's paid by employers, and it would be up to the employer. They'd probably have to adjust what the employers pay in to be able to cover the benefits, and it's not something that would be covered by the general fund. It's my understanding, talking to staff.
Madam Chairman, maybe we could ask staff, because that's very different than my understanding.
Staff. Katie.
Madam Chair, I had a conversation with the, in conversation with the
Kendra,
Virginia
sorry.
Employment Commission, that's okay. They
I don't want to be
indicated.
accused of what I accuse other people of like. You do not look alike. All right. Kendra.
I'm sorry. Virginia Employment Commission indicated that there were special allowances made during the pandemic, which are not in place currently for funds from the federal trust fund, so that it would probably be unallowable from the federal trust fund because it is against the federal regulations for the unemployment payments to be made to a contractor at this time. They're working with the folks from Maryland and DC to kind of understand the depth of it, and there's a lot of nuances to which employees that are affected by the reductions in federal force currently would be eligible for unemployment and which wouldn't, so.
Thank you, Kendra, thank you. Senator McDougal, does that?
That confirmed by concern.
Yes. Delegate Martinez, would you like to have anything to say about this?
Well, I was wondering, is the amendment being moved, or you need me to continue talking? Because I can talk.
Come on, y'all, let's get a motion here.
Moved and second.
There's a motion and a second that the bill be reported. All in favor?
That the amendment be agreed to.
There's a motion and a second that the amendment be agreed to. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Now, a motion, please. On the amendment. Okay, so we recorded 5 noes down here. Although, are there 4 noes? 4 noes down here. Okay, now, can I get a motion on the bill as amended? There's a motion and a second that the bill be reported with the amendment. Madam Clerk, please open the roll.
Ayes 10, noes 4.
Ayes 10, noes 4. The bill reports with the amendment. Happy Valentine's Day, Delegate Martinez.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and I really appreciate you listening to my discussion and voting for the bill. Thank you.
Thank you. Delegate Glass.
Gratitude, Madam Chairman. I have House Bill 2401.
Yes. I want staff to go in and give us a brief explanation, and I'm back to you.
Yes, Madam Chair.
All right, Madam Chair, this bill, House Bill 2401, relates to child engaged in the work of content creation trust account. And there were impacts previously discussed on a nearly identical bill, Senate Bill 998, Senator Williams-Graves' bill related to cost by dollar. That bill passed the Senate, 40 yes, 0 no.
Madam Chair, I've moved to conform this bill to Senate Bill 998.
There's a motion and a second that the bill be conformed. All in favor of that motion, please say aye. Aye. So we got all ayes at that.
And I'd move to report the bill as amended.
Thank you. There's a motion and a second that the bill be reported as amended. Madam Clerk, please open the roll.
Ayes 14, no zero.
Ayes 14, no zero. That bill reports with its substitute.
Gratitude, Madam Chair and Committee.
Thank you. Delegate Krizak. Yes, April, could you please give me a description?
Madam Chair, the first, House Bill 2166 relates to horse racing and pari-mutuel wagering. It amends the definition of breakage. A nearly identical bill, Senate Bill 864, Senator Reeves' bill, was passed by indefinitely in the committee on a vote of 8 yes, 7 no.
Madam Chair,
Delegate Krizak.
thank you very much. I'd just say that this is a better version, with all due respect, Senator Reeves. So what breakage is? When you go to the racetrack and you bet $2 on a favorite and pays 2 to 1, you would think you would get $4. Because it's pari-mutuel, sometimes you get $4.09. That 9 cents right now stays with the racetrack. Or the same thing happens with historical horse racing machines. It stays with the machines. What this bill will do is sweep the money from the historical horse racing, 70% of it to the problem gambling fund, and 30% to the Horseman Benevolence Fund. With the racetrack, it'll go back to the bettors, just like it does in Churchill over in Kentucky.
Senator Reeves, Senator Eben, Senator Deeds.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, Delegate Krizak, was this bill worked out with the horse racing folks over long negotiations?
Yes, sir. Madam Chair, the answer is it is, and there's nobody's against it.
Madam Chair, follow up. Delegate Krizak, does this affect the state budget at all?
Madam Chair, no. The answer, Senator, is it does not.
All right. Thank you, Madam Chair.
The other side.
Who else is like here? Senator Eben?
Senator Eben.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think Senator Reeves covered the points that I was going to ask Delegate Krizak at, which I wasn't clear about the parties to this agreement before the other version of the bill was heard here. But thank you.
Madam Chair.
Senator Deeds.
We're not really against the idea, but we just don't treat House bills differently than we treat a Senate bill. So I've got to make a motion to pass the bill by indefinitely.
I like the bill, but the motion is on the floor, that the bill be PBI. All in favor? Madam Clerk, open the roll.
Ayes 7, no 6, 1 abstention.
Ayes 7, no 6, 1 abstention. The bill PBI.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
I took a picture of that. Okay, who's next? Delegate Watson.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the committee on this fine Valentine's Day.
April is going to give us a brief description and we'll come back to you, please.
Madam Chair, the first bill, House Bill 2253, relates to nursing homes and establishes procedures for the implementation of sanctions and civil penalties. It's identical to Senate Bill 1383, Senator Aird's bill, which passed the Senate 40 yes, 0 no, and there was funding in the introduced budget for the legislation.
Would you like to have, Senator Deeds has his finger on the mic, so this might be a motion that's favorable to you.
Madam Chair, I move to report the bill.
There's a motion and a second that the bill be reported. Roll call, please.
Ayes 14, no 0.
Ayes 14, no 0, that bill reports.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
You have another.
Madam Chair, the next bill, House Bill 2255, relates to licensure and inspection fees for hospitals and nursing homes. It's similar to Senate Bill 1484, Senator Srinivasan's bill, which passed the Senate 40 yes, 0 no. The difference is that the Senate bill didn't create the fund.
Oh, there's no money.
I think this is fine.
Okay.
Madam Chair.
Senator Deeds.
I move we report the bill.
There's a motion and a second. There's a motion and a second that the bill be reported. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Ayes 14, no zero.
Ayes 14, no zero, that bill reports.
Thank you, Madam Chair,
You're very
members of the
welcome.
committee.
Madam Chairman, before we move on to,
Senator McDougal?
before we move on to the next one, I voted on the prevailing side on Delegate Krizik's 2166. I'm going to ask that be reconsidered and go by for the day so that maybe Senator Reeves could have the opportunity to talk to you over the weekend about the policy, about making an exception.
Without objection?
No, I think I have to make a motion to
Okay, yeah, go
reconsider.
ahead. That's right. That's right, because we had a recorded vote. All in favor of reconsideration of the vote? Please, Madam Clerk, open roll. This is on reconsideration.
Ayes 14, no zero.
Ayes 14, no zero.
And Madam Chairman, I'm going to ask if that would go by for the day to allow Senator Reeves to have a conversation with you over the weekend.
That is by for the day. Delegate John Ward?
Madam Chair, it's House Bill 1928, related to minimum wage. It increases the minimum wage incrementally to $15 per hour by January 1, 2027, and it codifies the adjusted state hourly minimum wage, et cetera, and requires the Commissioner of Labor and Industry to establish an adjusted state hourly minimum wage by October 1, 2027. There was not a similar bill in the Senate, but it was referred here from Commerce and Labor on a vote of 9 yes, 6 no.
Delegate Ward?
Yes, good
Madam Chair.
afternoon. Good afternoon, Madam Chair, members of the committee. I'm sure you remember the minimum wage bill back in 2020, and it did exactly what we thought it was going to do. From $7.25 an hour, we've got it to $12 an hour, and then automatically it had to increase because of the consumer price index to $12.41. But if you remember, there was a reenactment in that bill, and this bill would serve as that reenactment that's required in order for us to move this bill forward, or our incremental increase forward. So in 2026, if this should pass, it should be $13.50 an hour, and 2027, it will be $15 an hour, and then it will once again begin to increase based on this consumer price index. If we can do this, we can continue to move it forward.
Madam Chair,
Thank you. Senator Deeds?
I move that we report the bill.
Motion and a second that that bill be reported. Roll call, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, members of the committee.
You're very
Ayes
welcome.
10, noes 4.
Ayes 10, noes 4, that bill reports. Delegate Reeser. April, could you please give me a description?
Madam Bill, the first bill, House Bill 1936, relates to the Department of Education establishing and maintaining an index of teacher training. It is a minimal fiscal impact of about $25,000 to create the index. It was reported and re-referred here from Education and Health on a vote of 15 yes, 0 no.
Committee?
Madam Chair,
Senator Deeds?
while I note the House budget does not include funding for this, it doesn't look like it's going to cost very much money, and it's a good idea. I'll move to report the bill.
There's a motion and a second that the bill be reported. Roll call, please.
Ayes 14, no zero.
Ayes 14, no zero, the bill reports. Delegate McClure?
We've got one more for Reeser. You want me to do
Oh,
it?
that's right. Rita has one more, but you can stay right there.
Madam Chair, the next bill, House Bill 2053, relates to student literacy instruction and completions of self-audit and with higher educational institutions. This one has an impact of about $50,000. Was reported here from Education and Health on a vote 8 yes, 5 no, 1 abstention.
Madam Chair,
Motion, please.
I'll move to report the bill.
There's a motion and a second that the bill be reported. Roll call, please.
Ayes 10, noes 4.
Ayes 10, noes 4. House Bill 2053 reports. Now, Delegate McClure, I want April to give us a brief description, and then I come back to you.
Absolutely, Madam Chair.
Madam Chair, House Bill 1625 relates to farm laborers and farm employees and temporary farm workers receiving minimum wage, and the impact is about 123,000 to 246,000. It reported from Commerce and Labor on a vote of 9 yes, 6 no.
Madam Chair, for all the farmers in Arlington, I'll move to pass the bill, or report the bill.
There's a motion and a second that the bill be reported. Madam Clerk, roll call.
Ayes 10, noes 4.
Ayes 10, noes 4, that bill report.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank
Senator
you.
Deeds and the committee.
You're very welcome. Delegate Reed.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Yes, please, quickly.
Madam Chair, House Bill 1737 relates to the Department of Veteran Services powers and duties in an online portal. It is identical to Senate Bill 1471, Senator Deeds, which was left in the committee. House and Senate budgets, however, do have funding that could be used to do so.
Madam Chair, this is
If
my
there's money
bill.
there, we got some money somewhere.
And I love it. But I'm making the same motion on this bill that I made on my own, and that's to pass the bill by indefinitely, and take care of it in the budget.
I understand.
I don't like it either.
No.
Did I get a second to that motion? There's a motion and a second that the bill be passed by indefinitely, and that we deal with Senator Deeds and Delegate Reed's bill in the budget. Madam Clerk, open roll.
Ayes 13, noes 1.
Ayes 13, noes 1, the bill will be passed by indefinitely.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Are we doing 1738 today? Okay,
No.
thank you very much.
I think that's gonna be on Monday.
Okay.
Delegate Askew. If Delegate Askew is here, okay. Come on, I'm gonna let April go on and give us a brief description, and then back to you.
Madam Chair, this relates to the Virginia Military Survivors and Dependents Education Program, a report on eligibility and usage. I believe the concern originally was that the date, but I believe it's been conformed and it is now identical to Senate Bill 961, Senator Rome's bill that passed the Senate 40 yes, 0 no.
Madam Chair.
I think you just wanna hear motion, don't you?
Madam
Senator
Chair,
Deeds.
I'll move to report the bill.
There's a motion and a second that the bill be reported. Roll call, please.
Ayes 14, noes 0.
Ayes 14, no 0, the bill reports.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
You're very welcome.
All right, Madam Chair, the second bill, House Bill
Delegate Askew,
1988.
we're not done with you yet.
1988 relates to local school boards, their powers and duties, and binding arbitration agreements. It is identical to Senate Bill 1033, Senator Pekarski's bill, as introduced, and the committee made an action to incorporate that you cannot do that with House bills. And it came here on a vote of 9 to 6 from Education and Health.
Yes.
Madam Chair, it's difficult for us to treat House bills differently than we treated Senate bills, so I'll make a motion to pass the bill by indefinitely.
I don't have a second.
You have a motion and a second.
There's a motion and a second that the bill be passed by indefinitely. Madam Clerk, please open the roll.
Ayes 10, noes 4.
Ayes 10, noes 4, the bill passed by indefinitely.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Delegate Cousins? April, could you please do that one for me, please?
Ma'am. Madam Chair, House Bill 2240, Delegate Cousins' bill relates to the Hunger-Free Campus Food Pantry Grant Program. It is similar to Senate Bill 1016, Senator Rome's bill, which passed the Senate 39 yes, 1 no. There are some slight differences between the bills. The Senate budget did have $500,000 in support of the legislation.
Madam Chair, I move that we conform the bill to 1016, Senate Bill 1016.
There's a motion and a second that the bills conform. All in favor of that motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Then I move we report the bill as amended.
There's a motion and a second that the bill be reported with the substitute. Madam Clerk, roll call, please. Thank you.
Ayes 14, noes 0.
Ayes 14, no 0. The bill reports with the substitute. Delegate Anthony.
Madam Chair, House Bill 2046, Delegate Anthony's bill relates to high-risk artificial intelligence development, deployment, and use by public bodies. It came here from General Laws on a vote of 15 yes, 0 no. It is identical to Senate Bill 1214, Senator Aird's bill, which passed the Senate 40 yes, 0 no, and it contains a delayed effective date of July 1, 27.
Madam Chair, I move that we report the bill.
There's a motion and a second that the bill be reported. Madam Clerk, please open the roll.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Ayes 14, noes 0.
Ayes 14, no 0. That bill reports. Thank you. Delegate Keys Garmar.
Madam Chair, House Bill 2136 relates to the Office of the Public Utility, the Ombudsman being established. It requires the State Corporation Commission to establish this to protect the interests of residential customers. It has an impact on the non-general fund of about $268,000 in 3 positions. And we did not have a similar bill. It was reported and re-referred from Commerce and Labor on a vote of 9 yes, 6 no.
Madam, it is a good bill. Madam Chair, I would make a motion that we amend the bill to make it effective July 1, 2026.
There's a motion and a second that we amend the bill to the date specified by Senator Deeds.
Madam Chairman.
Senator McDougal.
So if my understanding, by doing that, it means that we don't have to pay for it this year, but it will go to the ongoing base that we're committing to for future years?
It's a, Madam Chair.
Yes, sir, we are going to pay for it.
We'll pay for this, but we'll pay for it in future years.
Yes.
Answer
to your question is yes.
Madam Chairman, I hope my credit card works that easily.
Do we have a motion on the floor?
Second.
What was in those gummies? Just kidding. We have a motion on the floor.
Yes.
Yes, we did. He just made a motion. There's a motion to report the bill as amended.
We have a motion to adopt the amendment.
I thought you did that.
Well, I don't think we have called vote on that.
Okay, wait. There was a motion for the amendment for the date. So all in favor of that motion, say aye. Aye. Now, Senator Deeds.
Now I move to report the bill as amended.
Second.
Now there's a motion to report the bill as amended. Roll call, please.
Ayes 10, noes 4.
Ayes 10, noes 4. The bill reports with the amendment. Delegate Cole, please, I saw him earlier, but could you go and do that one for me?
I think you. No? Okay. All right, Madam Chair, House Bill 2165, Delegate Coles. This one relates to the prohibited personal use of campaign funds under campaign finance, an identical bill, Senate Bill 1002. Senator Boysko's bill passed the Senate 36 yes, 4 no, and reported here from Privileges and Elections on a vote of 14 yes, 1 no.
I move to report the bill.
There's a motion and a second that the bill be reported. Roll call, please.
Ayes 14, no 0.
Ayes 14, no 0. House Bill 2165 report. Delegate Mundy King. Description, please, April.
Madam Chair, House Bill 2356 relates to prevailing wage rates, apprenticeship requirements, and penalties. It is identical to Senate Bill 853, Senator Rouse's bill, which passed the Senate 20 yes, 18 no, and was reported and re-referred from Commerce and Labor on a vote of 9 yes, 6 no.
And it's already, Madam Chair?
Yes,
the bill's
Senator
already-
Deeds.
The bill's already identical to the Senate bill?
Yes, that's correct.
Then I'd move to report the bill.
There's a motion and a second that the bill be reported. Madam Clerk, please open the roll.
Ayes 10, noes 4.
Ayes 10, noes 4, the bill reports.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
You're very welcome.
Madam Chair, the next bill, House Bill 2362, relates to the sale of real estate for delinquent taxes and the procedure of enforcement of liens and publication. It has indeterminate revenue, potentially negative to local revenues. We did not have a similar bill. It was reported and re-referred from courts of justice on a vote of 14 yes, 1 abstention.
Senator Deeds, that's your
Madam
committee.
Chair, move to report the bill.
There's a motion and a second that the bill be reported. Roll call, please.
Ayes 14, no 0.
Ayes 14, no 0, that bill reports.
Madam Chair, the description of the next bill, House Bill 2371, relates to the coverage for contraceptive drugs and devices for health insurance. A similar bill, Senate Bill 780, Senator Carol Foy's bill, passed the Senate 21 yes, 17 no, and the House budget does include $1.3 million related to funding the bill.
Madam Chair.
Very good. Senator Deeds.
I'd move we conform this bill to Senate Bill 780.
There's a motion and a second that the bill be conformed to Senate Bill 780. All in favor of that motion, say aye. Aye.
And then I'd move to report the conformed bill.
There's a motion and a second that the bill be reported as conformed. Roll call, please.
Ayes 10, noes 4.
Ayes 10, noes 4, that bill reports with the substitute.
Madam Chair, the next bill, House Bill 2446, relates to the Department of Health having a public awareness campaign related to Postpartum Depression Education Act. An identical bill was left here in Finance. However, both the House and Senate budgets included funding for the impact of the bill, and it reported from here from Education and Health on a vote of 15 yes, 0 no.
And Madam Chair,
Senator Deeds.
this is that one case where we've had an epiphany. And so I'd move to report the bill.
Thank you.
There's a motion and a second that the bill be reported. Madam Clerk, please open the roll.
Ayes 14, no 0.
Ayes 14, no 0, that bill reports. You did really, really good work.
Thank you so much.
Chairwoman Candy Mundy King.
Thank you so much, Madam Chair and members of the committee.
You're very welcome. Delegate Tran.
Madam Chair, the first bill, House Bill 2241, relates to firearms possession, person convicted of a hate crime. It is here for the Woodrum impact of $50,000. We did not have the similar bill. It was reported and re-referred from courts of justice on a vote of 9 yes, 6 no.
Madam Chair, and I think staff has adequately described this bill. I'd move to report.
There's a motion and a second that the bill be reported. Roll call, please.
Ayes 10, noes 4.
Ayes 10, noes 4. House Bill 2241 is reported.
Madam Chair, the next bill, House Bill 2764, relates to collective bargaining by public employees and exclusive bargaining representatives. An identical bill, Senate Bill 917, Senator Surville's bill, passed the Senate on a vote of 20 yes, 19 no, and contains a delayed effective date of July 1 of 2027. It was reported and referred from, or maybe it doesn't. I might need
Ours is
to.
2026. Ours is next year. Oh,
27,
I'm sorry, but the Senate version was laid on top of ours.
Okay. This was reported and re-referred from Commerce and Labor on a vote of 9 yes, 6 no.
Madam Chair,
Senator Dees.
since this is identical to Servell's bill, I would move to report the bill.
There's a motion and a second that the bill be reported. Roll call.
Ayes 10, noes 4.
Ayes 10, noes 4, the bill is reported.
Thank you so much, Madam Chair.
Delegate Sullivan.
Madam Chair, Senator Deeds, I bring you your second epiphany, I hope.
Madam Chair, House Bill 1791 relates to the Electric Vehicle Rural Infrastructure Program and Fund. It's similar to Senate Bill 1225, Senator Aird's, which was passed by indefinitely in the committee on a vote of 14 yes, 0 no. Came from Commerce and Labor on a vote of 9 yes, 5 no, 1 abstention.
And there is money in both budgets.
And Madam Chair,
Senator Dees.
there wasn't an epiphany on this bill. I'm sorry, but we have handled it in the budget. We have to agree on the number. And so my motion will be the PB out of the bill.
I'll come back for the 5th time next year.
Well, there's
$2
million in one budget.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
My understanding, and I wasn't there, but my understanding was that there was some confusion as to whether this was a tax credit bill when it came before this committee the last time. And because of the timing, it was PBI'd. My sense was it wasn't PBI'd on the merits.
Not on the merits at all.
Right. So this is a bill this body has looked at several times. We've made progress each year. We've stubbed our toe in the budget a couple times. This has to do with electric vehicle infrastructure targeted very specifically to rural parts of Virginia, and particularly our tourist destination parts, where we want to attract other people from other states to come. And a lot of people are using EVs these days, and if they can't find out on their app that there's charging infrastructure near one of our state parks, they're going to go somewhere else. So this is meant to try to address that problem. And Senator Deeds is right. The numbers are different in the budgets, but there is money in both budgets for this.
Madam Chair.
Senator Marston.
Thank you, Madam Chair. You know, this is one thing that I really worry about, is that as people begin to purchase more and more electric vehicles, it starts hurting our tourism in rural areas and our parks. And, you know, we need facilities around our parks that can get cars charged. It's a message to folks who live in rural Virginia that electric cars are a possibility for them. The federal government is supposedly still taking care of major corridors and interstates and what have you. This kind of fills in the gaps as I remember the bill. I've introduced it before, and I think we need to pass this bill. Move to report.
Second. That's a substitute motion.
Excuse me, substitute motion.
That's a substitute motion. It takes precedence. All in favor of the substitute motion to report, open the roll. Oh, gosh. I don't have locks. What we got?
Ayes 8, noes 6.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Ayes
Very
8,
much.
no 6. Bill reports.
Thank you very much.
Delegate Hope.
Good afternoon, Senator Lucas.
Good afternoon.
I have three before you. First is 1641, I believe.
Madam Chair, House Bill 1641 relates to the State Plan for Medical Assistance Services, Health Insurance, and Pediatric Autoimmune Neuropsychiatric Disorders Associated with Streptococcal Infections and Pediatric Acute Onset Neuropsychiatric Syndrome. The House bill did have some funding included for this. We did not have a similar Senate bill. It was reported and re-referred from Commerce and Labor on a vote of 15 yes, 0 no.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This was the recommendation of the HERC. We went through that process last year. This will only cost $94,000. There's very few people that have incidents of PANS, PANDAS, but we know treatment is very effective, and this will help a lot of families.
Motion, please.
Move to report.
There's a motion and a second that the bill be reported. Roll call, please.
Ayes 14, noes 0.
Ayes 14, noes 0, the bill reports. April.
Madam Chair, the second bill, House Bill 2729, relates to judges in each judicial district and circuits and the maximum number. It was conformed before coming here. It is now identical to Senate Bill 1327, Senator Deegs' bill, which passed the Senate on a vote of 40 yes, 0 no.
The conformed bill, I'll move to report.
Second.
There's a motion and a second that the conform bill be reported. Roll call.
Ayes 14, no 0.
Ayes 14, no 0. The conform bill reports. April?
Madam Chair, House Bill 2730 relates to designating a review panel in cases involving Mary Jane Burton and the Virginia State Crime Commission. The Courts Committee made this identical to Senate Bill 1465, Senator Servell's bill, which passed the Senate on a vote of 40 yes, 0 no.
Madam Chair,
Senator Deeds?
I move to report the bill.
There's a motion and a second that the bill be reported. Roll call, please.
Ayes 14, no 0.
Ayes 14, no 0. That bill reports.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
You're
members of
very
the committee.
welcome. I got Sullivan and Hope.
Carlson and Campbell. Into both.
Delegate Herring, Williams, and Campbell in that order.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair. I believe I
Good
have.
afternoon
I
to you.
forgot the bill number.
April's going to give us a brief description.
Madam Chair, this relates to the expungement and sealing of records and appeals sealing fee fund. This is identical to Senate Bill 1466, Senate Servell's bill, which passed the Senate on a vote of 25 yes, 15 no, and came here from Courts of Justice on a vote of 10 yes, 5 no.
Madam Chair, as I recall our previous discussion, there was some question about whether there was going to be an amendment to this bill. Is there going to be an amendment? Do we know?
So,
Staff? Katie?
Servell was having a meeting about said amendment, so I'm not sure if we should pass this by, but it related to whether or not there needed to be some recognition of systems issues with the state police.
that is correct, Madam Chair and members. There is an issue because of the many changes that's been made in the bill, and is that each time there's a change, then they have to go back and reprogram the system. The plan, Madam Chair, is that we agreed, Senator Servell and I, that we both, get our bills in conference and work on it there. So that was the plan, Madam Chair.
So
Madam Chair?
That means we need to make an amendment.
Yeah, I'll defer to Senator Deeds.
Well, the question I'd ask, when we had this bill in courts, did we amend it in such a way that we can get it in conference, or do we need to do it here?
Madam Chair, Senator Deeds, the bill before us is the way Senator Servell's bill passed the Senate.
Okay.
And
that
then
was
we need to
not the way
pass.
it passed the House.
So,
Correct, Madam Chair, and I would reject the Senate amendments, and we had planned for both bills to go into conference, because we also want to make sure that we're including all the crimes, excluding the crime, making sure we get all the violent crimes out of the current.
Senator Deeds?
I would then move to report the bill, and if we need to make changes, we can do it on the floor.
That's correct. Senator Eben and Senator McBride.
well, I was going to propose an amendment, but if Senator Deeds wants to do it on the floor instead, I'll
If you've
defer.
got an amendment, that's
Well, I
fine.
was going to propose that we change the effective date till January 1st, 2026, so that would get it into conference, if that's acceptable. If not, I'll defer.
Counsel? I think if we just do the date, that would get it into conference.
Okay, all right.
Okay, then I would propose that
Okay,
amendment
the proposed amendment is that we extend the date
to January
to
1st,
January 1st,
2026.
2026. All in favor of that amendment, please say aye. Aye. Now, if I can get a motion on the bill,
Move to report as amended.
then we move, there's a motion and a second that the bill be reported as amended, and then that will get it into conference. Madam Clerk, please open the roll. This gets it into conference.
Ayes 10, noes 4.
Ayes 10, noes 4, the bill reports with the substitute and with that date.
All right.
then
Thank you,
would
Madam
get it
Chair
in
and members.
conference.
Thank you.
Thank you. Williams and Delegate Williams.
Yes, Madam Chair.
Madam Chair, House Bill 1589 relates to powers and duties and membership of the Virginia Parole Board. It is identical to Senate Bill 1155, Senator Obenshain's bill, which passed the Senate on a vote of 40 yes, 0 no.
Madam Chair,
Senator
I'd move to report the bill.
There's a motion and a second that the bill be reported. Roll call.
Ayes 14, noes 0.
Ayes 14, no 0, the bill reports.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I see Delegate Bullock, you're not on my sheet, so do you have a bill here? Come on.
Madam Chair, House Bill 2036 relates to reckless driving, exhibition driving, and penalties. We did not have a Senate cognate, but it's here for the Woodrum impact, which is $50,000. It was reported from Courts of Justice on a vote of 13 yes, 2 no.
I was looking for a cognate.
Madam
Delegate
Chairman.
Senator McDougal.
Madam Chairman, we went through this pretty extensively in Courts Committee, and this is where the people do like the donuts and competitions and get crowds, and it's very dangerous. And unfortunately, part of the challenge is law enforcement can't get to the vehicles to issue a reckless driving warrant because the people will block them, and this gives them an avenue to try to deal with that. I'll make a motion to report at the appropriate time.
Well, I think you just did it.
Thank
There's a
you.
motion and a second that the bill be reported. Roll call, please.
Ayes 13, noes 1.
Ayes 13, noes 1, the bill reports.
Madam Chair, thank you so
With
much.
one reckless driver. We still have other bills that are in the committee, and I don't see the patrons, so I'm gonna have, yes, I think we'll be okay. April, please, if you could just go in and help us dispatch those that are remaining.
Yes, ma'am. House Bill 1583, Delegate Ballard's bill. This relates to threats to discharge a firearm within a or at a building or means of transportation and penalties. It is identical to Senate Bill 1271, Senator Perry's bill, which passed the Senate 14 yes, 0 no, and is here for the Woodrum impact of $50,000.
Madam Chairman, I move to report the bill.
There's a motion in the bill, in a second that the bill be reported. Open roll, please.
Ayes 14, noes 0.
Ayes 14, no 0, that bill reports.
Madam Chair, the next bill, House Bill 1834. This relates to the Virginia Waterway Maintenance Grant Program and Fund, which is administered by the Marine Resources Commission. This bill was not addressed in the House budget. However, it's possible to authorize the use of the portion of the fund for program administration through budget language. The impact is about $134,000. It reported here from ACNR on a vote of 15 yes, 0 no.
Madam Chair.
Senator Deeds.
I move to report the bill.
There's a motion and a second that the bill be reported. Roll call.
Ayes 14, noes 0.
Ayes 14, no 0, the bill reports.
Madam Chair, the next bill, House Bill 2170, relates to the Virginia Natural Resources Commitment Fund and the distribution of certain funds and reports. It's identical to Senate Bill 958, Senator Stewart's bill, which was left in the committee and came here from ACNR on a vote of 14 yes, 0 no.
Madam Chair,
Senator Deeds.
I don't think we can treat this any differently than we treated Senator Stewart's bill, and so I'm going to move to pass the bill by indefinitely.
It's okay, it's okay.
There's a motion and a second that 2170 be PBI. Roll call.
Ayes 10, noes 4.
Ayes 10, noes 4, the bill passed by indefinitely.
Madam Chair, the next bill, House Bill 2610, relates to state pharmacy benefits managers. This is Delegate Cowson's bill, and it relates DMAS to select and contract with a third-party administrator. Similar to Senate Bill 875, Senator Rouse's bill, which passed the Senate on a vote of 40 yes, 0 no. The version that left the Senate had a December 31st, 2026 implementation date. The House budget does include $250,000 general fund and $250,000 non-general fund in the first year for the legislation.
Madam Chair,
Senator Deeds.
I would propose an amendment to make this legislation effective July 1, 2026.
You heard the recommendation for the amendment is to change the date to July 1st, 2026, as opposed to December 31st, 2026. All in favor of that motion, say aye.
Okay.
There's a motion and a second that the bill be reported as amended. Roll call.
Conference anyways. They're different. They're similar, but they're different.
Ayes 14, no 0.
Ayes 14, no 0. The bill reports with the amendment.
Madam Chair, the next bill, House Bill 1815, Delegate Campbell's bill, relates to line of duty benefits for campus and private police officers. It's now identical to Senate Bill 1142, Senator Obenshain's bill, which passed the Senate 38 yes, 0 no, and came here from courts of justice on a vote of 14 yes, 0 no.
Madam Chair,
Senator Deeds.
I'd move to report the bill.
Second.
Motion and a second that the bill be reported. Roll call.
Ayes 14, no 0.
Ayes 14, no 0. The bill reports.
Madam Chair, the next bill, House Bill 2156, Delegate Carr's bill, relates to student exchange programs, tuition and mandatory fee and waivers, somewhat similar to Senate Bill 1229, Senator Aird's bill, which passed unanimously from the Senate. However, there were some concerns about the bill, and I believe there is a new committee substitute.
There's a motion and a second on the substitute. All in favor, please say aye. Council, could you please enlighten us?
Madam Chair, the substitute would take it back to the bill that passed out of this committee in the Senate version, and it would also include some clarity around language on inbound and outbound students from a foreign country or from here.
Senator Deeds.
I'd move to report the bill as amended, the substitute.
There's a motion and a second that the bill be reported with the substitute. Roll call.
Ayes 14, no 0.
Ayes 14, no 0. The bill reports for the substitute.
Madam Chair, I believe the next bill is House Bill 2321, Delegate Davis's bill, relating to the Virginia Recreational Facilities Authority and to dissolve a disposition of property. It's nearly identical to Senate Bill 796, Senator Head's bill, which passed the Senate 38 yes and 0 no. No.
There's a motion and a second that the bill be reported. Roll call.
Ayes 14, no 0.
Ayes 14, no 0. The bill reports.
Madam Chair, the next bill, House Bill 1724, Delegate Delaney's bill, relates to the establishment of a prescription drug affordability board and a cost affordability review. A similar bill, Senate Bill 274, Senator Deeds' bill from the previous session, passed the Senate 23 yes, 16 no, but then was vetoed. The House budget does include $644,000 and 3 positions for this purpose. It came here from Commerce and Labor on a vote of 10 yes, 5 no.
Yes. Did I hear? Senator Favola?
There's an amendment.
I'll second.
For the amendment.
Amendment.
I move that we conform this to Senator Deeds' bill, 274, or do you not know?
I apologize. Madam Chair, I would move that we amend this bill to be effective July 1, 2026.
You've heard the motion for the amendment. All in favor of that motion, please say aye.
Aye. Then I would move to report the bill as amended.
Second, as amended, okay.
There's a motion and a second that the bill be reported as amended to the July 1, 2026 date. Madam Clerk, please open the roll.
Ayes 10, noes 4.
Ayes 10, noes 4, the bill reports with the amendment. April.
Madam Chair, the next bill, House Bill 2452, relates to live streaming by higher education institutions and their boards of visitors meetings. This bill includes a reenactment clause currently, and it came from Education and Health on a vote of 15 yes, 0 no.
Senator Dees.
I would move to report the bill.
There's a motion and a second that the bill be reported. Roll call.
Ayes 14, noes 0.
Ayes 14, noes 0, the bill reports.
Madam Chair, the next bill, House Bill 1918, deals with the establishment and collection of information related to a women's menstrual health program. There was not a similar Senate bill. It would require the State Health Commissioner to establish at VDH the Women's Menstrual Health Program to identify and assist patients who have displayed symptoms related to menstrual disorders, including endometriosis and polycystic ovarian syndrome. This came from Education and Health at a vote of 15 yes, 0 no.
Madam Chair,
Senator Dees.
I would move to report the bill.
There's a motion and a second that the bill be reported. Roll call, please.
Ayes 14, noes 0.
Ayes 14, noes 0, the bill reports.
Madam Chair, the next bill, House Bill 1933, also Delegate LeVar Bowling. This is related to workers' comp presumption as to death or disability from throat cancer. It's similar to Senate Bill 920, Senator Salim's bill, which passed the Senate 40 yes, 0 no. The difference is that the House bill does not only apply to diseases diagnosed on or after July 1, 2025, as Senator Salim's bill.
Madam Chair,
Senator Dees.
I move that we conform this bill to Senate Bill 920.
There's a motion and a second that the bill be conformed. All in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
Motion.
Madam Chair, I move to report the bill as amended.
There's a motion that the bill be reported as amended. Roll call, please.
Ayes 14, noes 0.
Ayes 14, noes 0, the bill reports with the amendment.
Madam Chair, the next bill, House Bill 2637, also Delegate LeVar Bowling. This relates to Department of Education having a mental health first aid training program. It's identical to Senate Bill 1377, Senator Hashmi's bill, which passed the Senate 40 yes, 0 no.
Madam Chair,
Senator Dees.
I move that we report the bill.
There's a motion and a second that the bill be reported. Roll call.
Ayes 14, noes 0.
Ayes 14, noes 0, the bill reports. We're almost there.
Madam Chair, the next bill, House Bill 2196, Delegate McQuinn's bill, relates to establishing restorative schools in Virginia pilot program. It's identical to Senate Bill 1262, Senator Pekarsky's bill, which was left in the committee, and the House budget does not include funding for the legislation.
I like the bill, but I think we can't treat this differently than we treated Senator Pekarsky's bill. I'll move to PBI the bill.
There's a motion and a second that the bill be PBI. Roll call, please.
Ayes 13, noes 1.
Ayes 13, noes 1, the bill will be passed by indefinitely. Let me see.
Madam Chair, House Bill 2501 is the next, Delegate Rasul's bill. This relates to a driver communication improvement program and for DMV to develop and implement it. It's similar to Senate Bill 1265, Senator DeSteff's bill, which was left in the committee. The difference is this bill makes these envelopes available for those only with a diagnosis of autism.
Madam Chair.
Senator McPike.
Madam Chair, I think this is perhaps one of those ones that could be an epiphany based on the fiscal impact. I think it was different than we had some questions at the time. And, Madam Chair, I hope it'd be the will of this committee to report it. I think it is different.
You've heard the motion?
Second.
And a second. Madam Clerk, open the roll.
Ayes 14, no zero.
Ayes 14, no zero. House Bill 2501 reports.
Madam Chair, the next bill, House Bill 2548, Delegate Rasul's bill, is related to practical nursing programs, transferability to registered nursing programs, et cetera. It's nearly identical to Senate Bill 954, Senator Favola's bill, which passed the Senate 40 yes, 0 no. There's some technical amendments in House Bill 2548, but I believe it came here from Education and Health.
Madam Chair,
Senator Deeds.
I move we take this nearly identical bill and we make it identical to Senate Bill 953.
I'm wondering if this amendment makes it, Madam Chair.
Senator Favola?
I'm wondering, I don't have it in front of me, if this amendment actually makes it identical, because I did have an enactment clause with this date, and I'll have to check the bill. Our goal was to keep this identical, so.
That's all my amendments tries to do. Madam Chair.
Let me check.
Let's get staff to weigh in here.
I think it does.
They accepted in the House? I can't see. Without the substitute, that's what was just offered. Madam Chair, give me 1 second. I'm having some trouble with LS.
Oh, we're fine.
Madam Chair,
Yes. Wendy?
Madam Chair, I believe that the change was that it removed in the second enactment that BCCS shall develop and implement, and the change was to say BCCS shall develop. Yes, the word implement was removed.
Okay.
So I renew my motion that we conform this bill to Senator Favola's fine bill, fine version of the bill.
I think the main thing was the enactments.
All those in favor, please say aye. Yes,
Now I
now.
move that we report the, I apologize, Madam Chair.
Senator Deeds.
I move that we report the conformed bill.
There's a motion and a second that the conform bill be reported. Roll call, please.
That's it.
Ayes 14, no zero.
Ayes 14, no zero. That bill reports with the amendment. That concludes the docket. Kenneman rise.
This is the Senate of Virginia, Richmond, Virginia.